Lovely. And welcome to the BeCollaboration Journey of Possibility podcast. My name is Gill Tiney, and I'm really excited at the very first podcast of the year to be joined by Riana. And Riana is going to be sharing with us her theories of the world at large, her life story, her passions, and her connections with BeCollaboration. Riana, welcome. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Jill, and hello, and lovely to be here.
So my first question, quite obviously, which we say to a lot of people, is how on earth did you first get involved with BeCollaboration? What was your first inkling of something else that was out there?
I was invited by Andrew Horder, actually, and I had met Andrew at the Odd Networking event when he was still doing his something about busy fool.
Oh, yes, yeah, rather than joyful genius.
Yes, so it was a while ago. Anyway, we'd made connections, and so when I saw this invitation from him, I thought, why not? And I went along, and I think there were some other people there. I had met Stuart Kerslake at some other event as well, recognized the face.
They all go in the same circles, don't they?
And so that's how I ended up in BeCollaboration. Oh, okay. I'm still there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
So what drew you to it? What was something that kind of made you go, this is okay? Or did you just go, I'm going to go networking and I'm going to see what I can get out of it?
No, not at all. It was, well, by that stage, I'd had good conversations with Andrew. Mm-hmm. I remember meeting up with Stuart at this other event, which he may not even recall, but I remember there was a connection. And so when these two guys were there, and I can't remember whether you were there, or I think Erkan might have been there, and it was just lovely. It was just welcoming. It was warm. It was, I think I enjoyed the company. I enjoyed the conversations that were going on. It was different to other network meetings. Mm-hmm. In fact, it was said it's not a network meeting. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed the people that were there. That's about it, really.
Yeah. I think what some people say is it's the energy that people feel from it. And one of our guests, when we said to him at the end of the meeting, what did you think? What are your... how do you feel at the end of the meeting? And he said, well, you're just a bunch of people that love each other, really, aren't you? And you're like, yeah, that's pretty much it. We kind of, the superpower of love is kind of showered over everybody. And from that, you kind of feel that it's a safe space for you to stretch your wings and try out new things.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember having a conversation with Erkan, and I think it might have been the second meeting, I'm not sure. And we had a deep conversation. And he said, and this is what BeCollaboration is about. We hardly know each other, yet we can have this kind of conversation quite early on in the relationship. So when I say I just really liked it, I felt comfortable, I felt welcomed, I felt the love. And in hindsight is a great thing. So yeah, that's what I felt.
Yeah. That's what I think today you hear. I mean, this sort of 4 or 5 years ago, we were saying people don't have those conversations anymore. They don't have those deeper conversations on social media. It's all a quick response and a quick sound bite. And then when you go networking, it's how's business? It's fine. Everything's okay. I'm really busy. Yes, thank you. But nobody actually has those deep, authentic opportunities to spend time actually having a deeper conversation around what's the meaning of money. Or we had a massive in-depth discussion around Brexit the day after the vote, which was very powerful. We talk a lot about our businesses and how we're expanding or growing or shrinking or failing even. But being able to have those conversations, I don't think easily they're around. I mean, I've come across 1 or 2 meetup groups that are just about having a conversation. So you go and have a chat, but basically you're going with a different bunch of people every time to pick a topic and then have a chat about that topic, where this comes from the connection of love, connection and abundance, rather than coming from a place of fear, scarcity and competition. So I think as time's moved, that's where we started 4 years ago, but as time's moved on, more and more people are becoming aware that conversations are not happening like that. People don't go down the pub like they used to every Friday night to meet the same people, to have good, proper conversations. It's become more shallow, more...
Absolutely, yes.
So I think from the fact that, networking happens at BeCollaboration, but that's not the main objective, and understanding that you can go and have some weird and wonderful conversations. I mean, I remember chatting to an accountant who'd been in the meeting for about an hour. He kind of knew of me and he knew of BeCollaboration, but he was attracted to the fact that it was something different. And after an hour, I said, oh, you're going to love the next bit. We're talking about aliens. He went, well, funny you should say that. And he had this massive story about aliens. And I'm like, whoa. I said, hang on, I just have to stop for a minute. We just met. I said, if we'd been at a networking event, this conversation would not be happening.
Exactly.
And it's the weird and the wonderful, but also it's the genuine, and it's the deep-seated, people are ready to share. A couple of meetings ago at Essex, we had a lady talking about an abusive relationship that she'd escaped. In the past, we've had people talking about how they were sexually abused as a child. And on the one hand, some of us are going, oh, that's terrible, that's awful. And other people are sitting in the room going, oh yeah, that happened to me too. And you forget that, it sounds horrific, but at the same time, you can empathize because other people have been through similar, down the same road, whatever it happens to be, whether it's a divorce, a bereavement. We've all had bad times in our lives, and you can share how you got out of it, or share if you're going through it, and share a different way of looking at the mess and the stuff and the noise that we all have to go through. So and I've witnessed you having some of those conversations as well with people. When we go over to Surrey, you're kind of in the thick of it, and sitting down, and everyone's sort of this nodding and I get it, and you kind of have these questions that come out that you're allowed to really pick out and have a proper go and have a proper chat. Chat about. Knowing, having seen your Know and Be Known in the past, at BeCollaboration, we talk about how you got to where you are and what's shaped you. So it's not about standing up at the front of the room and going, I got 3 GCSEs at school, and then I went on to do my A-levels, then I went on to... We don't need to know a full CV, but we do want to know what incidences have happened to you that have created the person that's standing in front of us. Now, growing up in South Africa, you've had huge, massive, mind-blowing opportunities and pivotal moments. And I've asked you to, before we started this conversation, just to pick out 3, just to kind of whet our appetite of who is Riana. So over to you. What would you say is one of your pivotal moments growing up, and what brings you to be the person you are today?
Okay, so, growing up in South Africa, first of all, in apartheid South Africa, the first thing that I can say is I did not necessarily understand at that point that I was privileged and how I was privileged or anything like that. But I remember being about maybe 5, 6 years old.
Gosh.
My aunt or somebody had given me some money, and it must have been, in those days we had the same currencies, the same denominations that you had in the UK.
Okay.
So it was like similar to a 5p or something like that. And I could go to the shop, and I can't remember who went with me but I could go and buy my own sweets. So this was exciting. So I got to the shop. Now I'm like 5 years old. I can't see over the counter. Now I want some sweeties. And there's these men on the side, but they are dark-skinned men. I would not have called them black or colored or anything like that. All that my 5-year-old knew was that the adults in my life called people like that boys. So I said, "Excuse me, boy," in the most polite manner. As a well brought up child. To which they looked at me like, "How dare you call me boy? You're a child." in that kind of manner, and was what
Yeah.
happened there, and I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I didn't know. Anyway, I don't think I made much of it. And then I think the second thing that sort of hit me from an apartheid perspective was when I went with my mom, and this was my stepmom. We went to another town to do some shopping. You know, people went by train in those days. She didn't drive. And there were some public toilets outside the station in this town that we went to. And I looked at this and I thought by myself, maybe 8, 9 years old, so if I wanted to go to the loo, where would I go? Because it says European on one side and non-European on the other side. And I wasn't European. I hadn't been born in Europe. I was African. So I couldn't go to the non-European. Well, I'd had to go to the non-European side, wouldn't I? And it was, oh, okay. But I don't know that I discussed it with her either. It was only later that I realized that this is about white and non-white.
That's a funny description, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, so things like that. So, probably the third thing that shaped me. There's so many things, Jill. Where do you want me to start? A big aha moment for me, because I wanted to go to university. My stepmom definitely didn't want me to go. I decided I would do radiography, only because you needed maths for that, and I wanted to study something. And I remember being away from home, being upset, not because I'm now doing radiography, I'm not doing what I wanted to do. And it dawned on me that I could forever blame my parents for this. Or I could stop it right there and just get on with my life.
Yeah.
And I think I was 18, 19 at the time. So those are pivotal moments.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're young, things seem so clear, and you look at an adult's world and it's like, that doesn't fit, that doesn't make sense. I obviously had a different background to you growing up in the East End of London, but one of my pivotal moments is very similar to yours, in that I went to school locally, and the only other white person in my school of my age was from New Zealand. So I was the only white one there. So all different nationalities. It was lovely, and I thought that was normal. And I remember being 6 years of age. My friends had come around for tea. We'd had a lovely time playing. They were going home. And afterwards, my mum said to me, "Don't you have any white friends?" And I remember it's like this glass ceiling being broken and going, "Oh, no." And I hadn't even noticed what colour their skin was. And then I thought to myself, why has my mum asked me that? What difference does it make? Am I supposed to not be playing with them? Or should I be playing with... And I couldn't work it out, why there was this... Why did she even ask me that? It was strange. And you've gone to the same thing at the toilets. What do I do at the toilet? Why is there a sign? Because it felt wrong. It felt wrong to have that thing. So intrinsically as children, we see the world so clearly and so easily. And then the more you grow up, the more rules that get put in the way.
Layers.
Yes.
Masks.
Layers and layers. And then we have to fight them off. We get to be our age and we realise what's gone on, and we're like, hang on a minute, let's start again. Rewind. And you have to kind of peel all those layers away. So tell me a little bit about your role and your job and how you got to be what you are now, because that is all about peeling away layers, isn't it, for your clients?
Yes. So how did I get to do what I'm doing now?
Yeah.
Which is business coaching, basically, life coaching. It's all, I want to say, it's all much of the same thing. You're just coming from a different perspective.
Yeah. It depends where the breakage is, so to speak, doesn't it?
Where the challenge is, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, went through the school thing, was very much a mousy kind of person. It's